welcome, hello and welcome. It looks like I'm live, so let's get started. I'm Dan, your friendly fishmonger at dansfish.com. I'm glad to be back in the saddle. Sorry I missed y'all last week. Had a bit of an illness. One of our team members here got ill, and they passed it on to me ever so givingly. Here, Dan, have some, right? So I came down with it. Catching up on things. I think I've almost caught up on all the emails and stuff that I missed. Just missing a few days of work is never good. You have to come back, and it's like, you know, when you finish being sick, but the next couple days you're still really tired, but you've got to play catch up because you missed so much while you were sick. We're getting over that part. Oh, no sound. No sound? Who said that? Looks good and sound good. Hang on, someone just shouted that there was no sound. Let me make sure that looks like most people can hear. Sound too low. Okay. Sounds low for folks. Sounds fine for some folks. Sounds good. Sounds okay. Okay. Sounds like it might be an individual issue. Most people in the chat are saying that sound is good. So I'm just going to keep rolling. We did make some changes, obviously. We no longer see that curtain behind me, so had to reconfigure some settings and things. So I don't know if something changed, but hopefully it's good for everybody. Okay, we're going to get back to it. So anyway, I was just complaining about how hard it is to recover. It worked when you come back from being sick. Yeah, okay, I'm done complaining now. But that's where I'm at. I'm just about done that. I think tomorrow might be the first day I get back and feel like completely normal. So I'm looking forward to that. Cheers, everybody. I want to quickly thank Becca, Kyle, Stephen, and Jenna for coming out. They came for a couple days and helped out with a whole bunch of video making. So we're going to have a whole bunch of videos to release to make up for all the time I was sick and didn't make any content. So thanks, guys. It was great to hang out with you. All right, let's get to the shipping report. Let's get to the giveaway. And then I'll tell you a little bit about what's going on here. I got to tell you about the big open house event we had 4th of July weekend, the big open house and barbecue. And I'll let you know how that went. And then we'll get to your questions and comments. So we'll be talking about fish keeping, breeding fish, setting up fish rooms, how to ship aquarium fish, any topics that have to do with freshwater aquarium fish I can help you out with. So that's what we'll be chatting about tonight. Shipping report. Okay. So for 3 weeks, we have been stuck at 98.42% success shipping. We broke out of that this week, and we're now at 98.50%. So that's great. That is up 0.08%. We just have 0.5% to go, and we will meet our goal of 99%. What we want to do is always be 99% or better. Where we're at the last several months is just below that. So we're clawing our way back, and feels good to see a big jump like that. Usually it's like a jump of like 0.01%, maybe 2, and maybe just stay there for a while. But to get 0.08%, that's pretty awesome. That means we're shipping out a lot of fish and having very little issues. Now I do know that some folks had a couple issues, and I want to apologize to them, especially the customer that bought the Tanganyikan killifish. I know you had a couple losses. I think most of them are doing well, but I know you had a couple losses. So if you're listening, sorry about that. Still have no idea what happened. Ours are doing fine, and the ones we've sent other places are fine. But hopefully the rest are doing well for you. And if you have any issues, you know, give us a holler. Okay, so that's the shipping report. Trending in the right direction. Now for the giveaway. The giveaway tonight is for a $50 gift certificate provided by an anonymous donor. And unlike folks pre-stream, we're guessing, no, not the actual anonymous organization with the hacker mask, but just someone who wishes to remain anonymous. So I would like to heartily thank that person. I think it's awesome when folks do giveaways. And it's really helpful. It's always nice when I don't have to pay for the giveaway, right? That helps the company out. So thank you so much to that person. You know who they are. And this person, by the way, behind the scenes, has helped me out in many, many ways over the years, in ways people don't even know about. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Mwah. And with that, let's show you how to win the giveaway. Since they want to remain anonymous, to enter to win the $50 gift certificate to dansfish.com provided by a mystery donor, just hashtag thanks. We're keeping it simple. Hashtag THANKS. No spaces, caps don't matter. I wanted to say thanks anonymous, but anonymous is can be easily misspelled, so we didn't want to throw a wrench in the works. But thanks to this person so much. All right, look at that. It's only been 6 minutes and we're already done with the shipping report and have the giveaway rolling. That's not bad. That's what we call efficiency. This might be a 15-minute stream. No, not likely. We have 139 folks here. That's awesome. Thanks for being here. Thanks for spending a bit of your Wednesday evening with us, even though it's nice outside. Thanks for hanging out. And if you know someone that might like this stream, that likes chatting about aquarium fish, then give them a holler. See if we can get them in here. Let's grow the channel. I really want to get up to 100, not 100. Yeah, I do want to get up to 130,000 subscribers. But right now we're still working on 30,000. That's the next big milestone. So we're trying to get more people in. We're trying to grow the channel. All right. With that, Nathan says, hopefully more will jump over from Corey's. Yeah, if Corey's still going. Yeah, I'm sure that'll happen. But that's okay. We went up to 148, so that's pretty good. It's not bad at all. But I don't blame people. I listen to Corey's stuff. I do it on replay usually. I usually can't make it live. But I think Corey's a fun guy to listen to, so I don't blame people. All right, we have the first super chat of the day. Fish Tank Barn throwing $5 into the tip jar, going into lurker mode. Thanks so much. Appreciate you, Fish Tank Barn. Hope all is well in the barn and in your neck of the woods. Hope you and your family are doing really well. And thanks for the support. Much appreciated, never required, but it's always really fun when money falls out of the computer screen and lands in our laps. We do appreciate that. Okay. With that, let me report on the barbecue open house event we had, and then we'll get to your questions and comments. So we, about a month before the 4th of July, we're looking at the calendar going like, ooh, doesn't look like we can ship most of that week. What should we do? And we're thinking maybe we'll do a deep clean in the warehouse, get everything spick and span, or maybe we'll, there's some work outside we need to do around the building. Maybe we'll do that. But none of that sounded fun. What sounded fun was having an open house and inviting all y'all to come and see this thing that you've seen in live streams and on videos, but not in person. And so it was last minute. It was really only 3 to 4 weeks, maybe 4 weeks before, I think, 4th of July weekend. And we put the word out and we were like, I don't know if anyone will show up. We had no expectations. Honestly, I would have been disappointed if no one showed up because we did buy some food and stuff. But, we would have just eaten it all, I guess. But I was pleasantly surprised. A lot of people came. I thought we might get maybe like 6 folks. But we had 30 people here, I believe, over the course of the 2 days. And most of them came for both days. And it was really fun to hang out. It was awesome to meet you. It was awesome to hear about your fish rooms and what you like fish-wise. It was great to meet some of you who are breeders that maybe we can source fish from and buy fish from more hobbyist breeders. So that was good on the business front. But mostly it was fun to just have you all over, show you around, get to meet you, and then cook for you. So hopefully everyone enjoyed the food. I know it's a long trip out here to Sheridan, Wyoming. Ain't nothing close. And I really hope that the folks came out a good time because, for several folks, it was like a full day's drive just to get here. For one person at least, it was 2 days. Let's see, we had folks from Texas, from Washington, from Utah, from Colorado, from, I believe, South Dakota, and I believe Minnesota. I'm sure I'm missing some. Idaho. yeah, that was pretty awesome to see that people wanted to come out. And it was kind of cool hanging out and watching them all look around. It's just like watching minds be like, whoa, and just enjoy it and soak it all in. So I had a great time. I had a great enough time that I'm going to look at the calendar and see if there's a weekend next summer that also works. And just the tickle in the back of my mind is, if this goes okay for a little while, maybe we grow it into something. Maybe I could easily rent a presentation hall at the local college I used to teach at. And maybe we could bring in speakers and stuff. Also, we can rent housing at the college. There's dorms. They're not very expensive. I think you can get a dorm for like $30 a night. Now, it's dorm living, so for some of you, you're going to be like, nah, I'll get a hotel. But for folks that are like, no, I want to just, make this as affordable as possible, we could do something like that. So that's what's tickling the back of my mind. The downside is that if we bring in speakers to present and talk, then we'll probably have to charge because we'd have to pay to bring them out and all that. So there's quite a bit of expense with that. So I'm not sure if we'll do that. Maybe it's something we could do, have them come and join via like a video thing, although half the fun is meeting the speaker, right? So, but that would be a less expensive way to start and get the ball rolling. And we could just pay them a small speaker fee, and that would be a lot less expensive than, flying them out and getting lodging for them and shuttling them around and all that stuff. So logistically and cost-wise, that might be a way to start. But it's just something that's tickling the back of my head. Might be fun. I was just really tickled that 30 people were like, yeah, I'll make that drive. I'll do that, and came out. I thought that was awesome. So that was better than I thought, so maybe it's worth looking into. So anyway, that's what I'm thinking, just the thoughts in my head. Now, most of my thoughts go nowhere. Most of my thoughts I think about, I plan a little bit, and then I'm like, oh, that won't work. Or I talk to someone and they point out a fatal flaw. But we'll see. We'll see. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while. Been wanting to call it like the Fish Family Reunion. Like a family reunion, but with fish nerds. But we'll see. We'll see. But anyway, it was very encouraging, everyone that came out, to see that, hey, maybe there is enough interest that we could do this. I've got to fix some color stuff. My hair looks totally green in this lighting. The little hair I have. Jeez. Anyway, we're going to keep going. So let's get to, that's the report. I thought it was awesome. And that's pretty much all that happened. I did the barbecue. And then a couple days later, I was just sick in bed. So not much has happened since then. But, well, besides people coming to help film a bunch of stuff that I already talked about, which was great to have that help. Okay, with that, we're going to get to your questions and comments. So I'm going to scroll up here, see if I can have any questions or comments to answer, to engage with. If you have a question or comment, please feel free to leave it in the chat. If you put the @ Dan's Fish and select Dan's Fish from the pop-up, then it'll turn bright orange for me, as Spinster Sisters comment did right here. And I'll see that bright orange box. And as I scroll here, I just look for these bright orange boxes. That's how I get right to the questions and comments meant for me, and don't get mired down in all the in-between stuff, which is just friends talking among themselves and the general chit-chat that goes on back and forth, right? So, all right, let's scroll up here and see what we can see. Brian has been a member for 9 months. Thank you, Brian, for being part of the Fishmonger crew. We couldn't operate this ship without all you members, so thank you. Hi, Dan. Hey, look, I made a live stream. Fish are in the mail. Will be a fun day tomorrow. I'm sure they will be great. Thanks again. Awesome. You made a live stream? Oh, you made it to a live stream. I thought you were saying that you made a live stream that you appeared on. I see. You made it to a live stream. Cool. All right. Well, hey, I'm glad you could make it. I hope all the fish do well. We'll see. We'll see. Let us know. Let's see here. I'm trying to remember what that order was, but I don't remember. But happily, in the last 12 months, 98.50% of the fish we've sent have arrived alive and been in good shape when they arrive. So not just alive and breathing, but alive and like looked good. So yeah, the odds are good, Brian. Oh, sorry. Those that have been here to lots of streams can probably tell I'm not quite on my game. Being sick kind of threw me off quite a bit, but I'm not as quick on the uptake as usual. So it might be a little awkward, but we're going to get through it. And hey, there's 202 folks here that think it's not so awkward that it's not worth their time. So thanks for being here, folks. Shark Fin Adventures, can you explain if you keep the lights on for levamisol treatment? We don't. We turn off the lights. Levamisol is light sensitive. Now, that being said, I don't know how light sensitive it is. Water does a pretty good job of blocking the UV wavelengths out that cause most chemicals to become unstable and to kind of decompose or dematerialize. And so I'm not sure if it's absolutely necessary. That I don't know. But we do it because why not? That's easy. It's super easy to turn off the light. So I know levamisol is light sensitive. I don't know how light sensitive it is in water. And I mean, enough UV light does penetrate water that things still get altered, right? I mean, plants photosynthesize underwater. So there is some of that UVB or UV radiation getting down there. But a lot less than just out in the air. So shark fin, I don't know if it's absolutely necessary, but we do it just to be safe. Timotheos Leahy says, I hope I said that right, Timotheos. I like this camera angle and background way better. It's more open and ambient. Well, thank you. I'm glad you like it. We're going to try some other things. We might have some video of, might have like some aquarium stuff behind me. We might, I don't know. I've tried some things. I had that 40-gallon aquarium behind me. That was like real compact. Had the curtain behind me. That wasn't so bad, but it definitely wasn't open feeling. So I might try like a nice, like fish swimming behind me, stuff like that. I'm not quite sure yet, but we'll see. But I'm glad you like it, Timotheos. Tony Adams, I'm curious where you get your tanks from. I was pricing custom aquariums and they are expensive. So I'm wondering if you used them or had someone else. I have not used custom aquariums. I have talked with them a few times. And one day I might get a nice display tank from them. But that would be like a nice, this is like a just beautiful display tank. The beautiful tank that we keep perfect while everything else is a warehouse tank. If I was to have an aquarium behind me, I would ideally want it to be Customs Aquarium. They do a good job, and I could customize how it was so it fit perfectly in the space and all that. But with that kind of quality, they have a I've never kept a Customs Aquarium myself, so I want to be clear on that. I have no direct experience, but a lot of people that have rave about them and seem to really like them. So they have a reputation for high quality, and with that comes a lot of cost. I bought my aquariums directly from the manufacturer. So it's just Aqueon aquariums. And so, yeah, they were still expensive, but not nearly as expensive as they could have been. Now, that being said, when the Petco, when they have their dollar per gallon sales, usually you can get aquariums there in the dollar per gallon sale for just as cheap as I can get them wholesale direct from the manufacturer. That's how big a cut it is. So if you can get a 40-gallon tank for, what is a 40-gallon tank during the dollar per gallon sale? I don't know. I think that sale might actually be happening. So let's see. $40-gallon tank. Yeah, this is a great price. The Aquarium 40-gallon tank is $59.99. They cost me more than that directly from the manufacturer. I'm a little jealous. Oh man, that's awesome. So I would say if you want to get a lot of tanks, is this a breeder or just this looks like a breeder? Just looking at the footprint, what are the dimensions here? Because I got 40-gallon breeders. Does it not have the dimensions? Huh. You would think that the dimensions would be kind of important. Oh, here it is. Yeah, that's a 40-gallon breeder. That's awesome. Dude, okay, so $59.99, that is way cheaper than I could buy them for directly from the manufacturer, buying, what did we buy? Hundreds and hundreds, literally more than one semi-trailer load at a time. So I would get on that. Now, the quality is definitely industrial, shall we say, right? Those tanks are not like the prettiest tank ever. The craftsmanship sometimes is downright shoddy, but they almost always hold water. I have had new Aquarium tanks that leaked for sure, but out of, let's see here, 5, so that would be 0.5%. So like 5 out of 400. So very few. So anyway, if you want quality, go with custom aquariums. If you want a tank that's gonna look fine, but isn't a master craftsmanship type work, then I would just go to that sale right now and buy that tank. That's an amazing price. I can't believe that buying directly from the manufacturer by the semi-truckload was more expensive than that. That's just weird. But that's how good a deal it is. Orange Cones, hoping I have hatchetfish eggs. Oh my gosh, that would be awesome. Breeding is pleasure. You know it. Hashtag breeding is pleasure. And is this true? I can't think of anyone right now off the top of my head who has ever bred and raised hatchetfish in aquariums. So that would be quite a feat. I hope that happens. Good luck to you. That would be awesome. Brody's bet is my blue galaris. Oh, such a beautiful fish. McCurdy longfin and Madakas are about 1.5 months now. Oh, that sounds beautiful. Brody, if you have those in large numbers, I would love to buy all those species from you. Oh, I'd love to buy blue galaris. I miss that fish. It's like my top 5 fish ever, blue galaris. Bet Aquatics is awesome. All right, groovy, right back at you. Matt West, what are the care recommendations for the ornate sand tiger loach, assuming it's similar to hillstream loaches? So the care for them is very simple. I would say the care for them is more akin to a bottia, a yo-yo loach, something like that, than it is to a hillstream loach. But what I mean by that is I wouldn't feel like you have to set up any like hillstream conditions. They do like flow for sure, but they'll be fine with just a vigorously bubbling air stone or sponge filter or something in the corner of the tank. So I have not ever seen them go up and like hang in the flow like hillstream loaches will. They have flow available, but they seem to be all over the tank. So I would say treat them like a standard bottia type loach, like a zebra loach or something like that, and they'll probably be fine. In fact, from my experience with them, and they're new to me, that's a fish that we've only had for like a month or something like that. But from my observations of them, they look like they're gonna be just as easy and just as easy and hardy as a group of bottia loaches would be. I'm not seeing tons of aggression. They're eating everything. The caveat here is I keep groups of fish that are very large in number. And sometimes they do great. And then when they get down to like 3, it's like, ooh, suddenly they're being aggressive because there's not enough to spread it out. But I haven't seen the type of behavior with them that would make me think that they're aggressive. Certainly nothing like like some of those other loaches. Let's see here. Heloides? What's that loach? Heloides loach? Yeah, the banded tiger loach. This sucker is one of the most aggressive fish I ever kept. Let me show you this thing. They're not like this. These were absolutely beautiful, stunning fish, but I love them. And in large groups, they're okay, but buyer beware, because if they, yeah, there's a great picture of them. I mean, look at that beauty. It's got dots, it's got bands, it's got color on the fins. They're very active. I loved them. But man, when we got down to, actually they were always aggressive with each other, but when they got down to just a few, then it became very apparent. These are not showing that kind of behavior. So I would say if you have a stable tank with this nice and mature and the parameters are locked in, I think they're going to be just fine for you. Jacob Metzner, you guys were well worth it. Hey, Jacob, thanks. And it was so good to meet you in person. Glad you could make the trip. I enjoyed hanging out. Spinster Sister. Oh, sorry, chat just jumped, Spinster Sister. I'm trying. Let me scroll up and see if I can find that. Oh, jeez. I'm sorry, Spinster. By the way, I still think that's one of the most fun usernames out there. Oh, man. I can see it. Hey, Dan, my blonde koi guppies have long, white, clear, stringy, wavy poop. One male died, but they're still eating. Thoughts? My thought is that's never fun. So what that is basically fish diarrhea. Sometimes it's called an empty fecal casing. And what can cause it is anything that can cause diarrhea in a human being, pretty much. Could be stress, could be, yeah, something that didn't agree with you, or worst case, it could be like an actual, oops, I've got parasites or a virus or a bacterial infection. The things that, if it can cause diarrhea in a human, which is many, many, many things, right? Then that can cause it in a fish too. So, do they all have that? If they all have it, and how long have you had them? Spinster Sister, would you email us, hello@dancfish.com? That's HELLO@dancfish.com, and we will get in the details with you. If you let us know your temperature, how long you've had them, please do check your ammonia, your nitrite, and your nitrate, because if any of those are off, those can definitely cause stress in fish. And if you can send us a picture of the aquarium or a little video or something where we can actually see the setup, that can just make it so we don't have to ask tons of questions. We can see a lot just by looking at it, get a sense of who they're with and how it's set up and stuff. But I'd like to help you in more detail. And ours are doing fine, our blonde koi guppies. So what I'm trying to think is what could have happened. So I'm guessing here's what I need to know, Spinster Sister. How long have you had them? I know you got some from us, but are these ones you got from us, and how long have you had them? Because what I'm curious of is, it's definitely possible for a fish to have a latent issue that it keeps under control and doesn't show any symptoms of. But then if it goes through a stressful period, such as being shipped out to a customer, that stress can, anytime we get stressed, our immune systems get a little bit compromised, right? Because the body shuts down certain functions to deal with stress. And one of those functions is your immune system. It doesn't shut it down completely, but it definitely has some ramifications. So what I'm curious is, was there a latent thing that if you just got them recently, they got shipped and then you got them and immediately they had white stringy poop? That's a possibility. Or it could just be if they're recently arrived that they just haven't recovered fully yet and they're still they're still stressed out. So just knowing real quick how long you've had them and if you indeed got them from us could be helpful. Although, if memory serves, I think you might have got some quite a while ago. So is this a fish you've had for a long time and then it just recently happened? Any of that can help us kind of get going. But we'll probably need to move it over to email and get really into the details to see if we can figure something out. Those guppies have been examined by our veterinarian, and they appear to be doing really well, but live animals are complex creatures and things can change at any time. So we'll try to figure that out with you. Punchy paints. I thought he just had some duckweed on his head. Yeah, it's a little green, I know. Made some changes, and I've got to fix some color settings and things because we played with our settings in OBS Studio. Orange cones, do you perhaps have algae hair instead of hair algae? Yeah. There you go. You're still looking a little green, right? It's just the lingering illness. Absolutely. There you go. Mindy K, I love the idea of the Fish Fam annual reunion. That would be pretty fun. I'd enjoy the chance to come out to something like that and to meet everybody. Yeah, I think it would be great too. I've been thinking of it for years, actually. Ever since the Fish Fam became a thing, I think that summer I went to a reunion and I was like, this family reunion's fun. And then I was watching a live stream and I was like, family reunion, fish family reunion, and it kind of, gelled in my head. So yeah, maybe we'll make that happen. Hey Dan, which state do you ship to the most? It kind of follows population, really. So states with high populations, we ship a lot of fish to. And that seems intuitive, but we did not think that would be the case. What we thought would happen when we started this business is we thought we'd be shipping to a lot of low population areas because our thought was that most of our customers would be places that didn't have mom and pop shops. So we're thinking like a lot of small rural towns or places pretty far outside of a city, right? But that's not in fact what happened. We found that our customer base is pretty much anyone that really enjoys fish, anyone that really likes fish, especially if there's some sort of like, how do I put this? Concern for how fish are treated. That's our customer. People that really like fish to the point that they're willing to pay extra for fish that's been taken care of as well as I possibly can, right? And we find those people everywhere. So basically large population centers, we ship to a lot. Although I will say, I think there is a disproportionate number of fish keepers around the Great Lakes. Minnesota, Wisconsin, that kind of area. We seem to sell a lot of fish there. I think part of it is because they trust that we can get them to them alive even in the dead of winter. There's a lot of companies that I don't think would even attempt to ship there in the winter. But we have a good success rate. So I think that might be part of it. But also I think because of the long, cold winters, that maybe there's more fish keepers there. Because what are you going to do when it's freezing outside and there's 8 feet of snow and you've got lake effect wind and storms, So that's just anecdotal. We haven't crunched that data in quite a while. As soon as we realized that our original idea of who our customer would be was wrong, and that it was just people that love fish and want to see them treated as humanely as possible, we stopped worrying so much about where they came from and just focusing on that. Jacob Metzner, I've got all those amazing guppies tickling the back of my mind after seeing them in person. If you want amazing guppies, buy them from Dan. Yeah, we've worked really hard on guppies, and we're getting better all the time. I'm pretty sure if you buy guppies from us, they're going to be healthy. Although we still do need to figure out what's going on with Spinster Sisters guppies. Another question just for everyone else. Let's see here. Spinster Sister. If anyone else bought some of the blonde koi guppies, are yours doing well? That would be good to know, because if 12 people bought them and 12 people all report, well, all of ours have, stringy white poop, then it's like, ooh, maybe there is something going on that we don't see that we need to kind of figure out. All right, scrolling here. Aquatic Moose, hey, Good to see you. It was great to meet you. Jesus, it's been a few months now, but I hope you're doing well. How long do you leave the lights off when treating with levamisole? 3 days? Levamisole treatment for us is 24 hours. We just do a prolonged immersion for 24 hours. And then after 24 hours, we get rid of the levamisole and turn the light back on. Then we repeat that in, oh, Johnny, are you here? We've changed that recently based on what we're finding and on the recommendation of the veterinarian who is helping us out. And I think what it is levamisole for a 24-hour prolonged immersion, then get rid of the levamisole and redo the treatment in 7 days, get rid of the levamisole, and then do it in another 7 days. So I think it's 24-hour prolonged immersion 3 times with 7 days in between. But we've changed things recently, so Johnny can confirm that. Johnny's the one that actually administers the medications. And by the way, neither Johnny or I are veterinarians, so the big disclaimer is we're just telling you what we do. That's all we're doing. We're just telling you how we do it. We're not saying it's the best way. We're not saying it's the way you should do it. We're not saying it's going to work. We're not saying it's not going to kill your fish. Nothing. We're just saying this is what we do. Leo, how are those 2 saddle cories doing? So good. The Corridors Weitzmanni are amazing. I honestly cannot believe they're still in stock. That's a rare cory, and it's only $19.99. The Orange Venezuelans, I love the Orange Venezuelans, but they're not rare, and they're $12.99, and we sell hundreds of those for every Weitzmanni we sell. But I get it, though. The Orange Venezuelans are just such a beautiful fish that I get it. And the Weitzmanni aren't necessarily colorful. They just have a neat pattern, and they're extremely active for cories. So I understand why Corridors Equus and the gold lasers and red lasers and green lasers and the Venezuelanus and the, what's the fireball cory? Hesphestus, I think. I understand why people buy those most. It's just because they have the most color, so I do get it. But I thought for sure that Weitzmanni would fly off the shelf, especially at $19.99. I think the last time I sold them, I had to sell them for like $34.99 or something like that. So definitely more than $19.99. But they're doing fantastic. They're healthy as horses. Daniel McNamara. What is everyone's preference on breeding rainbows, spawning mops, and incubating the eggs separately, or playing musical tanks with parents and leaving the eggs behind to hatch and grow? It's a good question. We'll let everyone else respond to that as well as me. My answer is I like to pull mops. I like to count my eggs. There's just something really satisfying about pulling a mop out and getting the eggs and putting them in a little container and watching them develop. And I like to have control. I'm a control freak when it comes to breeding rainbows. And I can raise a lot more rainbows when I do that, and I have that control, than when I do it the other way. That being said, if I was just doing it for funsies and wasn't worried about yield, I would probably just do musical mops. But when you can take all those eggs and all those babies and put them in a smaller container, you can really keep the food in front of them. In a large tank, you put in some food and there's a lot of water volume, so a lot of that food doesn't make it to the babies. It, kind of gets wasted and eventually starts decomposing. In a small volume of water, you can keep the food really compact around the babies, so they have a lot of it and they grow really quickly. But water parameters become really difficult because if anything goes wrong in that small a volume of water, then it goes wrong quickly. So you have to change the water all the time, like 3-4 times a day ideally. So that doesn't work for everybody's schedule. But how I do it, since I'm, here all the time, is I like to pull the eggs and raise a ton of them in a small volume, especially when they're first getting going. Once they're eating baby brine shrimp routinely and reliably, then that becomes less important. But that's just me. Let's hear what everyone else has to say. Jag Trader, what's the best treatment for bloat and angelfish? I have no idea, and the reason is bloat can be caused by so many different things. So for bloat, you kind of have to identify the reason they're bloating and then treat for that. So that's kind of like a thing of, I don't know, my stomach hurts. Well, you could have food poisoning. You could have got punched in the stomach. You could have an ulcer. You could have a virus be coming down with the flu. You could have, you know, I don't know, have many different things. Gas pains, right? There could be many things that cause your stomach to hurt. That's the same with bloating in fish. So I wouldn't know. Yeah, it just depends on the cause. Now, if a fish is severely bloated, oftentimes they don't return from that because that coincides with organ failure often, and in failure to be able to osmoregulate. And once the fish is that far gone, it can be difficult. So it depends. Like if they're full drop seed and pine coning out, very difficult to turn that fish around. But it's just like, oh, I ate too much. Like, so I have certain fish that if I feed them too much, they'll get bloaty. I have a tank of rainbow fish right here that if I feed them too much, they'll kind of bloat a little bit, and their buoyancy gets a little weird, and they have to kind of swim down a little bit. But within a couple hours, that goes away. So I usually don't feed them too much, but every now and then I screw up. So it could be as simple as that. So I wish I could give you an actual answer, but when we say things like, I don't know, there's many things that what we're saying is, when we say, how do I treat this? You're describing a symptom and not a cause. Bloat is one of those. Stringy white poop is another one. So we can't treat a symptom. We can only treat a cause. Now, I will say that salt in the water always helps a fish as long as it doesn't degrade the environment they're living in. What do I mean by that? If you have a tank full of fancy plants and you put a bunch of salt in there, that might be good for the fish, but it's going to kill plants, and then the plants are going to decompose, and that degrades the environment, and then the fish, you know, gets sick anyway. Or you put a bunch of salt in, and maybe it kills off certain microorganisms that are living in the tank, and if you had those in a high enough volume, when those little microorganisms die, that can create an ammonia boom, and that can damage the environment in the tank and degrade it. So that aside, though, I have it on good authority from a certified aquatic veterinarian that 5 to 8 grams per liter, that's 5 to 8 parts per thousand, salt is not going to harm any freshwater fish they're aware of, and they're definitely aware of angelfish. So again, I'm not a veterinarian, but we use 5 grams per liter of salt, 5 parts per thousand salt, all the time, and have on many fish species without any problems. And that helps the fish osmoregulate. And if it's bloating, it might be having trouble osmoregulating. Man, I yearn for the day when it's not me completely unqualified answering the fish disease and medication questions. I yearn for the day when there's like aquatic vets readily accessible to people and they can get professional help. So again, take everything I say with a grain of salt, verify it, just realize I'm telling you my experience and what I do and general ideas. But and I realize that I'm the best that you have, maybe, if you don't have knowledgeable people in your area or an aquatic veterinarian in your area. So I understand that. That's why I'm willing to talk about it. But man, it'd be nice if I didn't have to, because I feel totally unqualified because I am. Aaron Salgado, not Doggo, Salgado, Aaron Salgado. I bet that happens to you all the time, Aaron. How many people have said Saldago? It's easier on the tongue. My tongue automatically wants to do that. Salgado, I'm excited for Amazon pufferfish tomorrow. I'm excited for you to get them. I'm excited for your seminar at my local club on August 6th. Oh, you're going to be down there. Awesome. Is it the 6th? The first Sunday. Oh, it is. The first Sunday of August, I'm going to be speaking at Coast. That is the 6th. Down in Southern California, back to my old stomping grounds. I can't wait to catch up with old friends that I haven't seen forever. And yeah, go around and say hi to a bunch of people that I've been missing for years. Stan, if you're around, I'm talking to you, man. I'd love to see you again, buddy. Anyway, yeah, I'm excited to meet you, Mr. Salgado. Miguel Leon, do you have any scarlet gobies currently? Why, yes, I do. Let me show you how to find them. So, let's go on a little field trip, shall we? So this is the landing page of dansfish.com. If we type in, I don't know, scarlet. There they are. We have 38 of them available right now. They're $6.99 and they're looking good. So there you go. I'll put a link in here for you just to make it like so easy. One thing about browsing our website is you don't have to know everything about the fish. Like if you just know, that's all you can remember. That'll get you to Dario. So yeah, just don't worry about getting it perfect. Just start typing and it'll probably show up. All right. Couple things to catch up on. Mountaintop Puffer Keeper says, thanks for being a member for 11 months, Matthew. That's amazing. I'd have been there if not for my job. Oh, I get it. I get it. 5 of 5 Congo fry are eating on copepods, rotifers, and paramecium. The code is broken. Now on to growing quantity. This is so exciting. Mountaintop Puffer Keeper is working on figuring out how to spawn and raise spotted Congo puffers in decent quantities. And I can't wait for the day I can source all my spotted Congo puffers from him and people like him, because that means they won't have to go through import. And that means I won't be supporting a supply chain that does such a bad job that it takes me literally 3 months to get them healthy and fattened up and ready to sell to you guys. So I can't wait, Matthew. I'm so glad you're making progress on that. And I can't wait to like buy my first batch of, I don't know, 100, whatever you can do. Chaos Aquatics and Reptiles. Hello, Bob. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for throwing down the super chat and also for putting a little pep in my step with the Pippi Longstocking Cheerleader super sticker. That's what I think it is. I don't know what this is, but I've always thought this is like Pippi Longstocking with the long red hair. I guess it's pink, but you get the idea. Gary Williams, another 11-month member, almost a year. Oh, that's amazing. Gary, thank you so much. I don't think I've even had memberships for a year. So you guys must have been some of the first. Oh, shoot. I guess I have to start thinking of like something special to do for people that have been members for a year. Let me make a note here. Haven't even thought about that at all. I know there's ways to do things. Okay, gonna have to figure that out. That's awesome though. Thank you, and thanks to all the members, everyone in the Fish Monger crew that's a member of the channel. I really appreciate it. You're like $5 a month goes a long way to helping this little startup company get to scale. Just that little revenue is so helpful. Well, it adds up in aggregate. Okay, K-Bat, is super hard water a hindrance to the planted tank? Yes and no. Depends. Now, I know nothing about plants, but I know about hard water, and I've kept a lot of plants in hard water, and here's what I found. While we were getting our system completely balanced, we did not have our descaling mechanism in place in an effective way. And a lot of our plants got scaling building up on the leaves. You could actually see the calcium carbonate building up on the leaves, and I'd have to go in there and remove it carefully. So that's a hindrance for sure. But as soon as we got our descaler up and running, we still have the hard water. But now it's not globbing onto the plants, it's not getting on the tanks or anything like that. So if you have a working and effective descaler in your house, then yeah, I think you can do it. And let me show you the descaler we use. I'm not paid by these guys or anything. Okay, but their unit has worked so well for us. So this is Vulcan. The company is Vulcan. This is the descaler. So it's basically these big copper bands that wrap, it's here. It's not really showing much detail. Hang on, I clicked industrial. Let's go to home. Let's see here. Residential. That's probably what we'll be doing. It's the same thing. It's just a smaller unit. So anyways, these copper bands that wrap around a pipe, it can be PVC or a metal pipe. Ours is PVC, but you can configure it different ways. And it plugs into this little doodad that emits different frequencies. Okay, I totally know this sounds like snake oil, but I've experienced it for myself. So I know this works, at least for me. And it emits a frequency which descales your system. Now, how does it work? A calcium carbonate molecule looks like this a little bit, right? It's the central point with a bunch of spikes coming off of it, like a dandelion head. Looks like a dandelion head. And each of those spikes that come off of it stick to stuff. They're tiny little spikes, and any little crack or crevice it'll stick into. And then a bunch of other calcium carbonate molecules will stick onto that, and that's how you get scaling. What this unit does is it emits a frequency that energizes the calcium carbonate molecule, and it changes its shape. So instead of this spiky little dandelion head, it becomes like a grain of rice, a lot smoother. And since it doesn't have all those spikes sticking out, it doesn't adhere to things and you don't get scaling. And I know it works. I've literally seen the scaling melt off my aquariums since I started using this. I have had no more scaling happen. I've had descaling happen. Like I have some thick, bad, big boy scaling in here, and it's gradually just falling off and going away because of this unit. Now, so I'm going to link this just because I think this could help a lot of fish keepers. Heck, if your house even has, for people that suffer with hard water, this is a super economical system. You don't have to add salt to it or anything. There's no maintenance. You put it on, you wrap it around your pipes, you plug it in, and it goes. And mine came with a 20-year guarantee. So it's probably, I don't know, $1,000 to $2,000 maybe for a residential unit would be my guess, maybe something like that. But again, it doesn't take up space. There's no salt, nothing like. I feel like I should be selling these things. I really liked it though. It really solved the problem for us. And the reason I bought it, I looked into lots of options, and there's different reactors and things you can use. The reason I bought this one is I was talking to them, and it seemed like if it's as simple as that, just wrap some bands around your water main or whatever, and it'll work. It was like, dude, that's a no-brainer. But I didn't believe it would work. I did a lot of internet research, and I saw a lot of reports from people that said that these types of units don't work. So I talked to the sales rep, and I was like, yeah, a lot of people are saying these don't work. What's up? And he's like, well, back in the 80s, the technology wasn't quite figured out yet, and they sold something like it. And so people got a bad taste in their mouth and it didn't work. I was like, okay, that makes sense, but how do I know it's going to work? And he's like, well, let me refer you to a client of mine. So he referred me to the University of Wyoming, who has a trout hatchery. And I talked to the head of that hatchery, and they have a heat exchanger just like I do. And they used to have to get like razor blades and acid, take their heat exchanger apart and acid wash it and scrape it down every few months because it would clog. Like every 6 months at least they had to do that because we get so much scaling on it. They got one of these units and it made it descale, and they've never had to open it up since, and it's been running for a few years. So he told me that, and I was like, oh, that sounds good. And he said, and let me refer you to the head of facilities at the university. So I called the head of facilities at the University of Wyoming, and he said, yeah, we tested it out in that fish hatchery, and it works so well that now it's on all our swimming pools. It's in all our dorms. Like they now can't live without it. So I was like, okay, if the University of Wyoming, oh, by the way, they also sent me video, because when the fish hatchery installed it, a few months later, they opened up their unit and they videoed the whole thing so that if it didn't work, they could probably, get a refund or whatever. And what it was it was still full of scaling because the calcium carbonate that had already stuck to the unit was still in there, but they opened it up and the stuff just fell right off. They just hosed it right off, and then they reinstalled it. And since then, they haven't had any new scaling build up. So if you have old scaling build up, right, then sorry guys, I'm almost done talking about this. I know not everyone is probably interested in this, but a lot of you live in areas where you get really hard water, right? You get the toilet ring and the bathtub ring, and it probably damages your equipment. And you probably have like salt exchange water softeners. So this might be worth hearing about. Anyway, so it took the old scaling, unstuck it, and it washed right off. They didn't have to use any acid or scrape it. It literally fell right off, and I saw the video. And then they've not had any new scaling buildup since, and neither has the University of Wyoming. So that was enough testament to me that I bought it, and I tried it. And once I had my system dialed in, I can say the same thing. I've seen the scaling fall off. Anyone that was here for the 4th of July barbecue, or Bob Steenfont that was here and saw it all, that you can testify to this. That thing really works. Now, here's a limitation. According to my sales rep, it only changes the structure of the molecule for about 48 hours, and that might depend a bit on temperature and stuff. What that means is if the water in your tank is there for more than 48 hours, then the scaling is probably going to start appearing again because the molecule is going to start reverting back to its natural form. So I don't know how effective it would be in every aquarium. Here, we change a ton of water all the time. And so there's multiple times a day, the water is being changed out in the aquarium. So, we don't have that issue. But just be aware that is a limitation of the unit. Okay. Anyway, there's still 249 people watching, so it must not have been that bad. But I'm so impressed with that unit. Like, no salt, no moving parts, no maintenance, 20-year guarantee, and it's actually working. And it was a little pricey, but it wasn't any pricier than buying and installing a big salt reactor or anything like that. William R., 8-month member. Thank you, William. I'm also excited to meet you at Coast. I'll try to remember to wear my yellow guppy shirt. Yes. Yes, yes. Solidarity. I can't bang my chest or I'll bang my mic. Solidarity, brother. Okay, so K-Bat, I hope that was helpful. Sorry. I'm really excited, though, that we've got a solution that's working for our hardness problem because it's making the maintenance of our equipment and our aquariums just so much better. Nathan Hovey, can any type of fish be kept with cories that won't eat the eggs fry? I know the cories can and do eat them, but I need something to help keep the tank clean. I keep all planted tanks. So I think what you're asking is, are there fish that you can keep with cories that won't eat the cory eggs or the cory fry? Well, the eggs is easy. Like, there's a lot of small fish that aren't going to be able to eat the eggs. They have a really hard shell. But the fry is another matter because as soon as they leave that nice protective, thick, tough shell, what they are is a yolk sac with a little tail sticking out. And that yolk sac is soft and delicious. I can't think of any fish with like a normal mouth, like a mouth that opens and closes and has teeth and is hinged kind of that way, that wouldn't be able to eat those. I'm trying to think if any like sucker type fish that don't like, grasp the food, but kind of graze on it, scrape it, like a pleco or an autosynclus. I wonder if one of those would work, but I don't think so. An immobile yolk sac that's just sitting there, that's just going to be so soft and delicious. So the only other thing I can think of is a fish that just would never be in the same zone of the aquarium, like a dedicated surface dweller. So maybe some hatchet fish or something like that would be your best bet. Now, occasionally hatchet fish might learn to go down to the bottom and eat. They aren't always stuck right at the top, but in general, they stay pretty close to the top. So on the fly, That's my best answer. Something that's pinned to the top and won't come down. Maybe African butterfly fish. Those go to the top and they don't come down. Not much anyway. That's my best answer. And it might not be a good one, but it's what I got. Aquatic Moose, how long do you leave the lights on or off for levamisole? 3. Oh, I think I already answered that one, so I'm going to keep going. Reels tanks. I'm growing a scud army. Oh, that's awesome. Scuds are so beneficial. I have 4 10-gallon tanks going with scuds. That's great. So reels, just putting it out there, lots of folks want to buy scuds. And I think if you posted them at getgills.com, I bet you'd have a lot of takers. Johnny, Dan is the only one who likes the curtain. It's true. I didn't mind the curtain. And everyone else literally has told me it's horrible. So I think I am the only one that likes the curtain. Truer words were never said. Robert Prosse. Hey, Dan, is it okay for you to ship to Florida during the summer months? Really enjoy your stream. Yes, I should be able to do that. So there was one shipment a couple weeks ago to Steven, sorry again, Steven, where some stuff got too hot. But there's a couple of reasons for that. One is at that time it was still cold here and in Billings and in Louisville. It was down in the 50s. And so I couldn't really put cold packs in because that'll drop the temperature maybe 10 degrees or so. And then the fish will get too cold. So I was like, well, I guess my best bet is to send them without a heat pack. And I thought there was maybe enough thermal mass in the box that would be okay. And in general, it was okay. There's just a couple fish in a box with lots of fish in it that had a problem. But the other issue is that Steven lives at the very end of the UPS delivery route, so probably didn't get them till, I don't know what time. I've had deliveries to Steven get there as late as like 6, 7, maybe 8 p.m. I think that's accurate. But anyway, later in the day, so they've been out in the heat the whole time. So now that it's getting warmer here, I don't have to worry about getting packages too cold with the cold packs. So now I can use cold packs pretty much as effectively as I use heat packs during the winter. So I can ship pretty much anywhere year round. Now, if it gets to be like 120 or something like that, then I might be like, yeah, it's awful hot this week. Let's hold off for a week or so. But generally, I can ship almost everywhere, no matter how hot or how cold, especially now that my weather's heated up. I can do that. Okay. Valley Rose. Any advice on how to build volume with blackworms quickly? Any certain foods or other tips? Are you saying build up the volume of your blackworm colony, like multiply your worms? The way they do it commercially is they cut the worms. So blackworms will regenerate. So back on the farms, they take these big like rake-like mechanisms and they go across the worms on the bottom of their big, call them ponds. And that kind of cuts the worms into little pieces. And then each of those little pieces will grow into a new worm. So that's the way they do it commercially. I don't know if that's how I would do it. I don't know if that's how you're comfortable doing it. I'm not saying you should do it. I'm just saying commercially that's how they do it. How I would probably do it is a ton of food and constant water changes. I think it's just a food game. Just feed those worms a ton. But it's the same problem we have when feeding fry, right? Little baby fish. You got to feed them a ton, but you also have to keep the water clean. And tons of food equals lots of waste, lots of decomposition, lots of ammonia. So you have to balance that. But Valley Rose, the quickest way to do it is the commercial method. But barring that, then I would go with tons of food and some kind of flow-through system that kept the water nice and clean. Daniel McNamara, when would you treat for internal bacterial infections with something like kanamycin only after treating with levamisole, flubendazole, and not seeing improvement in appearance or behavior? Well, I'm really lucky these days. I'll answer your question in hopefully a helpful way. I used to have to play the guessing game, but now we have this wonderful veterinarian who helps us out and can actually identify bacteria and parasites and things. So now we just treat for things we actually see. That being said, before we had access to a veterinarian, what I would do is, if there was something going on, okay, if I knew it was an internal bacterial infection, I would treat immediately with kanamycin and nitrofurazone, especially if I suspected it was a gram-negative kind of bacteria. But let's say you don't know that. Let's say that the fish is acting odd, and we have no idea why, but we suspect some kind of pathogen, bacteria or parasite or virus, but hopefully not a virus because those can't really be treated. Not eliminated anyway. So let's say that's happening. My choice then is to treat, and let's say that it seems like it's an internal thing. We aren't seeing flashing. We don't see any parasites on the skin. Maybe we've looked with at least a really powerful magnifying glass or jeweler's lens, and it looks like it's okay on the outside. So we suspect it's inside. Well, I would start with the easy things, because at that point it's probably as likely to be a parasite as it is to be a bacteria or a virus. So I start with what treats internal parasites. So I start with internal parasite medications and give it a little time. And if things did not improve, then I would move to kanamycin and nitrofurazone. So that's how I would do it. It's like, I don't know what's wrong, but let's start with the medications that are the least likely to, they're the easiest to administer and not going to crash the entire ecosystem of the aquarium. So things like flubendazole, levamisole, praziquantel, metronidazole, those kinds of things. Oops, that didn't work. Looks like we're going to have to try antibiotics, kanamycin, nitrofurazone, but be aware that can crash your entire nitrifying bacteria colony and really wreak havoc on the ecosystem of your aquarium. So hospital tanks are recommended for that. But I hesitate to, so hospital tanks, though, the water quality has to be good as well. So I think a lot of people harm a lot of fish in their hospital tank or tub or whatever, because in a hospital tank, you don't have all the nitrifying bacteria, you don't have the stable ecosystem. You're treating with medications that can crash an ecosystem. And so you can get ammonia spike like that. You really have to change the water often and keep that water really clean and free of ammonia and nitrite when you're using a hospital tank. I think I'm even starting to hesitate recommending quarantine anymore. I still recommend it, but here's the reason. The number one variable across all the fish that have problems for us, let's say that customers buy fish from us and they arrive in good shape, but then a few days later or a week later or whatever, they're having trouble. Maybe they started dying, maybe they're acting ill, whatever. They start having trouble. The common denominator, I can't say denominator, the common denominator on the vast majority of those, the most common denominator in those cases are that they are in a quarantine situation. So what's happened is the fish have been put in a quarantine tank or tub. That's great, except for their non-stable systems. Sure, you can take a sponge filter from an established tank and put it in a quarantine tank or tub or whatever, but that doesn't make that a stable tank or tub. That means you have introduced a nitrifying bacteria colony into a tank or tub, but it doesn't mean that everything's balanced out and hunky-dory. And so I think the number one issue people have, the number one thing we observe, and Johnny, correct me if I'm wrong or you have other thoughts, but I bet Johnny sees this too, is putting them in quarantine conditions that are unstable, and you get ammonia. Often when we say, okay, could you measure the ammonia and the nitrite for us, they'll get a little reading. And if you have any ammonia reading at all, I consider that unsafe for fish. Like if there's enough ammonia to show up at all on a test, that ain't good. Same with nitrite. So, I mean, I still think quarantining is the way to go, but please be aware that you're putting fish in an unstable environment when you quarantine. I'm assuming you're putting them in a freshly set up system. Some people have well-established systems, right? And the quarantine tank's been going forever. It maybe has a bunch of snails in it or something that keeps the biological balance between shipments of fish, keeps it bioactive, keeps the nitrophine bacteria colony up where it needs to be. Like that happens too. But yeah, just I've seen that a lot. And so starting to get to the point where I'm like, should I recommend quarantining anymore? Like quarantining in theory is the correct thing to do. But if it's done poorly in practice, it's definitely going to kill fish. Okay. Procedural Nodes 3D. Very technical name. I replaced an internal filter with a Tidal 55 and I'm leaving the old filter in the tank. Can I just leave the sponge cartridge from the old filter in there for the month? Yeah, of course you can. Be aware though that nitrophine bacteria demand a lot of oxygen. So ideally you would have your old nitrophine material, sponge and stuff, in the flow of the new filter, or maybe even in the new filter for a little while as the new filter gets built up with its colony. But yeah, I mean, you can definitely leave it in the tank. Pelham's Aquatics, I got me 2 of the 40 breeders on the sale. Yeah, for 55 bucks, dude, cheaper than I can get them from directly from the manufacturer, which is crazy. Rosie, drinking out of my Corridors mug. Love it. It is adorable. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm glad you like it. Yeah, that brings up a good point. There are 264 folks here. Thanks for being here, folks. We're going to take just a half a second to pay some bills, and I'm going to do that by showing you the cool merch that we have available at the Dan's Fish YouTube channel. So if you go to, why can't I go to it? There it is. To the Dan's Fish YouTube channel and go over here, scroll over to store, we have a whole bunch of cool merch. And this is from a new supplier. We're no longer using Teespring. We're now using Printful. And so far the turnaround time is much quicker, the price is much lower, and the quality is much higher. That has been our experience so far. So I think this is going to be great. I don't think it's going to take, 6 weeks for you to get your item anymore. So that's just a few of the things. There's lots of other stuff too if you go visit that store. Mugs and different items. We can only put so much on the YouTube store. We didn't want to choke it completely. So check that out if you want a cool Corridors mug and some other neat stuff. Meg Elliott, gonna get some tanks after this stream. Me? Oh, no. But I see what you're saying, like I could get them cheaper. Yeah. I have nowhere to put more tanks right now. I could replace some of the tanks that were leakers. We have like probably space for 10 tanks that we need to, no, 5. We have space for about 5 tanks that we need to replace that were leakers. But I don't have the time right now to set them up, paint them, drill them, get them all wired into the system. It's one day we'll get to the point where we're like, we need more fish to take care of, but today's not the day. we need more help before we can do that. Zach Billings, I have a river tank build with Hillstream loaches. I should say I really like river tank builds with river fish. I think they're amazing. I don't think they're always necessary, but if you can pull it off, I think it's the best way to go. White clouds and some Stiphodon gobies in a 75-gallon passive breeding tank is there. Is there anything else I could add on that wouldn't devour fry? Oh. In general, I just think the more fish, the more fry get devoured. Like I'm surprised the white clouds aren't eating fry. But let's think. I mean, I guess more varieties of Stiphodon gobies. There's some amazing ones, but those are all raspers, right? Those are all like grazers that kind of scrape algae and biofilms. So I think if you start getting more fish that aren't in that kind of node, then you start getting more fry eaten. So I don't know. I would say if it's working and you're getting production in a tank like that, I'd probably keep that. Something in high flow that stays at the top. that might be an option. But I can't think of what that fish is, like a dedicated surface dweller, also in really high flow. I mean, hatchet fish appreciate flow, but I don't know if they appreciate river manifold hill stream conditions flow. So that's probably not going to work. Yeah, Zach, I'm coming up blank. I'm sorry. Pelhams Aquatics has been breeding wild-type bettas. Well, that's good. I'm in the market for wild-type bettas. So if you breed a lot, please reach out to us, hello@dansfish.com, so we can buy some from you. We'd love to do that. Kelly Foreman, I'm pretty jealous you got to see Steven and Bex. Yeah, it was fun. Got a lot of work done, too, a lot of filming. Meg Elliott, I was looking at the blue pleco on your site. I love him. Would he be okay in my 20-gallon? Would he dig up my plants? Well, I don't know if he would dig up your plants. He might chew on some sword plants or broadleaf plants, but the blue phantoms are going to get 7 inches or more. So just be aware of that. And they're a bulky fish that creates a lot of waste. So it wouldn't take too many of those to overwhelm a 20-gallon, I don't think. Now, could you do it if you had the right filtration, right maintenance and stuff? Probably, but that is a pretty big fish, 7 inches, big bulky pleco, so that's something to consider. So digging, I don't think so, but he might chew on some plants. And by the way, that's just my 2 cents worth. I never want to be the guy that tells people how they should or should not keep fish, but create a lot of waste, those fish, for sure. Okay, chat jumped a bit. The next one I can see is Todd Geis. That was supposed to be clown killifish? Did I misspeak? I don't know, Todd. I'm not sure what the comment's relating to at this point. Do you have any Rhinogobius Jui? We did. We have, I believe, sold out. Let's see. Let's take a little trip here. Rhino. We are currently sold out. I do have a lead on some more from the same supplier, so I am hoping to have those in. They actually were supposed to arrive, well, several times, so I'm still waiting for them to arrive. Man, let me tell you, when you're importing fish, anything can and will go wrong. Yeah, this is a case where I paid in March, I believe. Got half the order like 6 weeks later, and I'm still waiting on the other half of the order, which has more of those Rhinogobius in it. So I hope to have more in soon. But I don't know. It's taken, I think it's been since, I want to say March. Yeah, I think I ordered mid-March, so I'm still waiting. Greg Watson. Testimony to Dan's Fish. Slowly stocking a 300-gallon planted tank with fish from Dan's. Haven't lost a single Dan's fish. I'm so glad to hear that. Lost 2 out of 10 angels from a top breeder with every water change. Go Dan quality. I'm sorry to hear you're losing some angels. I'm thrilled to hear that you haven't lost any fish from us. I mean, that's why we do what we do, the way we do it. That's why we put in the work. So thank you. I'm going to share that with the crew, because they work really hard to make sure that we do the best we can to get you nice, healthy fish, and it's a grind. But when we see results like that, you know, that makes our day, so I'm going to share that. Thanks, Greg Watson. I'm glad to hear they're doing well. Oh, Todd had an auto spell check thing, or I did. Yeah. That and like the fat fingers, right? Fat thumbs when you're trying to type. Yeah. Okay. Spinster Sister. I have a healthy gang of baby veil tail swordtails. Is there a chance for single female veil tails in the future? I need to grow my empire. Yes, there is a chance. In fact, I'm going to be, the next time that breeder has more available, I'm going to be bringing more in, because I think we're down to like 1 pair at this point. maybe we have none left. Maybe that pair is sold. So yeah, I'll bring more in, and I'll try to get more females than males, but I don't always control what I get. There's this saying that I know you've heard me say before, but when you're importing fish, you order what you order and you get what you get. It's kind of like dinner time when you were a kid. Your mom's like, you get what you get and you don't complain. It's kind of like that when you're ordering fish. You know, gradually over time, I'm figuring out who does a better job than who, but nobody's perfect. But yes, I'm going to try to do that. I mean, those females are just amazing with those long flowing Fantasia fins. Oh, Garden Matic 81, hi, right back at you. Thanks for hanging out. The background looks awesome. I'm glad you guys like it. Yep, that's just our warehouse, a small portion of our warehouse. And thanks to Stephen and Becca for helping me get that set up. I appreciate that. Did you get a haircut, says Mountain Greenery? Yes. I mean, several times throughout my life. Mostly it just falls out these days, though. And I got a haircut a few weeks ago. Before the barbecue, before the 4th of July. I got all purdy. Big Shrimpin', aka Steve C. As a plumber, I learned a major water heater manufacturer is starting to add an antibacterial coating to the inside of their tanks. Couldn't that lead to issues during water changes? I suppose it could. I guess it depends on the coating and if it just prevents bacteria from growing on the surface that the coating's on, or if the chemical in the coating leaches into the water itself. Like, I guess that's the question. Would an antibacterial substance that leaches into the water be approved for use in water systems that are going to be, you know, people are going to drink that water? I don't know that. You know, there are some ways to do this. There's some ways to do it without chemicals even. There's some like different ion things. I'm not going to explain this right because it's been a long time since I've read about it, but there's certain things that you can do that don't involve chemicals to make surfaces, I don't know, antibacterial. So maybe something like that, where bacteria aren't going to be able to grow on it, but it's literally not a chemical. It's structural, I guess, is the way I would say it. I explain that about as poorly as I've explained anything. But yeah, big shrimp, and it's definitely a concern, I suppose, especially if we don't know the details. Catherine Kennedy, I'm sad that I missed out on the pygmy sunfish. Will you be getting more? As soon as I can. I hesitated to bring them in for a long, long time because I was sure no one would want to pay what they cost, frankly. But people loved them, so I'll definitely be bringing more in. And we'll also see if maybe there's a few stragglers in that tank that we could list again. I'm not sure. They might all be sold. We still have a few in the tank. I don't know if they're sold or if we can list those or not. So Catherine, we might be able to list some more. But yeah, as soon as the breeder has more available, I'll bring more in because they did really well and a lot of people missed out. Andrew Wang, why are female scarlet batis almost never offered for sale? I don't think it's a conspiracy. I don't think it's a thing where the suppliers are like, we're not going to send females because we don't want anyone else to breed them. I really don't think that's it. What I think it is they're trying to get colorful fish into an industry that tends to buy colorful fish. Now, us hobbyists are like, man, we want the females. Where are the females? Because we want to breed fish, right? That's fun. Breeding is pleasure. But the general public, if they're walking to a fish store and they see a tank and it's got the males and the females in it, they're going to buy the males, and then the store is going to be stuck with all the females. So I really think it's just the industry trying to provide what they think will sell. But the truth is, you almost never find female scarlet batis. Robert Whitaker, I've had my spotted puffer and ornate tenopoma for almost 6 months now. They're still very healthy and doing great. They both live like kings. I'm glad to hear that they're doing well for you. Man, both those fish are so awesome. You have great taste, Robert. I like your taste. All right, it's 8:25. I best do the giveaway, or at least get it started. So let's do that. This is for 50 buckaroos, provided by an anonymous donor. There's 281 folks here, and of those, 213 have entered the drawing. So let's do the drawing. The winner is Brian. Brian Radovic was here earlier. Let's see if Brian's still here. Brian, you have 2 minutes to chime in. Let us know you're here. So you have until 8:28 is what I'll say. And then if you don't chime in by that time, oh, there he is. He says, oh, hey, I'm here. All right, Brian, good job. Congrats. To make it official, to claim your winnings, please send us an email with just your first name, your last name, and your email address is all we need to exchange a gift certificate. So we just need to know it's you and have your email. That's really all we need. So send us an email, hello@dansfish.com. That's HELLO@dansfish.com, and we'll get you squared away. Thanks again to our anonymous donor. Really appreciate you. Everything you've done for us, both on screen and off. Just mwah, thank you. Real sinks. My quarantine tanks have snails and a pleco. Yeah. Yeah, so you're keeping it going. I still need to get me a Dan's Fish hat. Why, yes, you do, Yellowstone Aquatics. Oh, there we go. Had some schmutz on it. Yeah, I like this thing a lot. I don't wear it on live streams just because, see how it shades my face? I don't have, like, the light is at a 45 from over there, and it just, you know, I don't have the front light. So, although people are probably like, no, please put the hat back on. Is that better? is that a vast improvement? We should do the rest of the stream like this. It's probably easier on the eyes. All right. So, ooh, looks like chat just jumped big time. Let me get up to where I was. We've got a couple more minutes. We're going to do this to the bitter end. We've got 3 minutes, and by gum, we're going to use them. Okay. Here is one from Robert Whitaker. Are your Congo Tetras a mix of male and females? Last time I bought Congo Tetras in an LFS, they all ended up being females. So I purposely bought a batch of females because all I had was males. What do we have at this time? I believe they're a mix, Robert. Johnny, do you know? Yes, I think we're currently male heavy. Okay, all right. Johnny would know better than I would at this point. I've been out sick for a few days. Robert, if you place an order for them, just leave a note saying, hey, I've got a bunch of females, I need some males, and we'll look, and if we can't get you some males, then we'll let you know. Brian Radovic, the tiger teddy pair I got from you dropped their first fry last week. They're teeny tiny, very happy. I know, aren't those the smallest live bearer fry you've ever seen? Still though, I think they're big enough to eat baby brine shrimp from the get-go. Ours ate it. I'm glad to hear that, Brian. Please guys, please everybody, breed the heck out of those tiger teddies and let's distribute them and let's get the price point reasonable. How much are those? I mean, they're an awesome fish, but they breed easily. Like, oh, I don't see the price there. Okay, what was the price? I think they're 45 bucks a pair, something like that. Let's just check here real quick. Yeah, tiger teddies. Oh, that was a trio, so that one was more. But yeah, I think about 45 bucks a pair. Now, granted, they don't have large drops of fry, so they're not as productive as some of the other live bearers. But they're a live bearer that's not. We didn't have any problems with them. They bred like crazy. We didn't have any losses. They ate everything. They seemed as hardy as a mosquito fish to me, which is hardy. So let's breed those, everybody, please. Let's get them distributed. Let's get that price point down to like I don't know, 20 bucks a pair or something seems reasonable. At 45, it's like, man, that's crazy. Got to get the supply up. Canada's Aquatics and Reptiles throwing down another super chat. Thanks, Bob. Really appreciate you. One of my OGs, Bob. Killer Kitty 08, not to be confused with Curl Kitty. Punching me in the face with a fox cat. I guess you're helping Chattanooga Ed out. And Rye Guy Outdoors saying, hey Dan, my eels laid more eggs today. Rye Guy Outdoors, that's amazing. If you get those spawning, I would love to buy every one of them from you. And if you're successful at doing that and raising them, and wouldn't mind sharing how, there's a lot of people that would love to know how to spawn those eels. Oh, that's so exciting to hear. Great, that's great. I'm assuming then that they might not need hormone, I don't know, therapy in order to get them to breed. I could be wrong, but you know, Rye Guy's a hobbyist, so I assume they're just breeding them in tanks like hobbyists do and not using hormones. That would be great if that's the truth. Oh, that's awesome. All right. Well, Spinster Sister, please email us so we can get to the bottom of, well, I don't know if we get to the bottom, so we can try to help get to the bottom of what's going on with your blonde koi guppies. I didn't see anyone else chime in that they had a problem. The chat jumped a couple times, so I might have missed it. Just look here. Yeah, chat jumped. I can't see it. Anyway, let's sign off here. I want to start by thanking my moderators because they volunteer their time every week here. They just come, give an hour and a half of their Wednesday evening. Some of them have been doing this for years, just volunteering, and I greatly appreciate it. So thank you. All the members, thanks for being a member of the channel. That really helps. Real quick, Paul Soltero says he's got tons of tiger lamias. That's awesome. Could I buy 50 or 100, 200 from you? I'd love to. Where was I? Members. Oh, everyone that threw money at us. Thanks so much. Thanks for, never, always appreciated, never required, but we're a startup company and every penny helps. So thanks for throwing money at us. We appreciate the super chats. If you were active in the chat, thanks for being active. Thanks for asking questions, giving me something to converse with, and for helping other people out in the chat as well. I appreciate that. If you're lurking, all hail the Lurker Nation. If you're listening on the replay, hello from the past. If you're listening on a podcast, thanks for listening. I think I'm like 12 podcasts behind at this point. I got to get them loaded. Anyway, we'll be back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Really appreciate you all. Thanks for geeking out with me about fish tonight. Till next time, bye-bye.